we always said great things don't come from comfort zones. I think that if I were to explain Tommy to you guys in college, like the first thing that comes to mind, free spirit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I want kids now.
Crazy, huh? So the grass that we're standing on.
Exactly.
On this side.
What rapper can you find in a toolbox?
No MSR. Sorry, guys.
People. ASMR.
So I said it right?
No.
ASMR.
Okay, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to It's a Win-Win Wednesday, where we upload a podcast every single week. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, welcome back to the podcast. And if you're new here, welcome to the podcast. It's so good to have you. If we haven't met yet, my name is Nguyen.
And I'm Sopa Nguyen. And we are excited about today's podcast because I feel like we pick these podcast topics based on just what is going on in our life and reflecting a lot on the last couple of weeks. A huge thing has been shifting from Sophie to Sopa. Now, I know we've talked about this in another podcast, but it's just the reality. It's just our life. It's something that I have personally been trying, and it has not been easy. Friends have called me out on it because they're like, I thought you were going by Sopa. Why'd you just say Sophie? And I'm like, it's so hard for me. I love that they're calling me out though, because it's holding me accountable.
Yeah, and you're changing even on your like social media. I didn't notice it until like last night. I was DMing her something and I thought it was so funny because she put in parentheses Sopa, like how to pronounce her real name.
I mean, I feel like that's how you're going to get people confident, right? And
yeah,
how
super
to say
true.
it where they don't have to question, because some names are hard.
Yeah.
And I think mine is one of them. It's just a harder name.
Yep. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I changed my name on social media. I haven't changed my name on Zoom or my emails yet. I'm just not ready for that. I feel like my clients are just going to be so confused. And I don't know. I'm not that close to all our clients. You know what I mean? To like tell them that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't even know. I'm so confused.
I think it's going to be a transition, and I think it's like a process, right? It's going to take some time. I think it's going to take a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. I mean, we're only a couple
like weeks, maybe months, a few months in. Yeah.
Yeah. But something that was so cute, I have to tell you guys. And so you guys know we talk about our friends because, you are who you surround yourself with, right? And so one of our great friends is Daniel and his wife, Kayla, and they have 2 boys and they're so cute. And one of their sons yesterday, Daniel was like, hey, Sophie. He said, Sophie, do you want like a coffee? I forgot what he said. And I was like, sure. And then one of their sons was like, her name is Sopa. No, she said, her real name is Sopa. I like died. It was the cutest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. He's like 5 years old.
He's 5. Yep. Yeah. And it just like melted my heart. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like we could say his name, but maybe not on the podcast. I don't know.
Fine.
Whatever.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. If you know, you know. And if a 5-year-old can do it, I was like, okay. It like encouraged me. I was like, okay. Like he's grasping onto it. It's not like clients can't do it.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I had a text yesterday from our friend, and she sent me this really long text message. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, is something wrong? Mm-hmm. And it ended up being something really encouraging. So basically she said how because of our podcast, It's a Win-Win, she's been listening to the podcast, I think from almost the very beginning. And I only met her like a couple months ago. Oops.
If you guys heard that, that was Sopa's phone.
Sorry, Google Calendar. So basically, I met her a couple months ago, so it's been less than a year since I've known her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, hey, because of your podcast, I'm encouraged to just embrace my accent. So she's from Malaysia, and she has an accent. Like she does. Mm-hmm. And I just told her basically, like, I love your accent. I think God made you that way. You should embrace it. And I feel like American people want accents, which is why sometimes people will like, talk in British accents or Australian accents. Like I feel like people in America want accents, but she's like, I don't think that's true.
Well, I think it's not more so like American people want accents. I think sometimes people are curious of like having something that they don't have, right? If you have like dark black hair, you might want blonde hair
or curly hair and straight hair.
Yeah, so it's like you're seeing something that you don't have and you kind of like want it or like imagine if you had it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm like, it would be so cool to have an accent. I think, but it's so funny how we want what we don't have, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And so my friend, she was basically saying, because of this podcast and because of our name change and everything Tommy and I have been talking about, it's like, she's like, I'm just going to embrace that I have an accent and I'm
Yeah.
Malaysian, you know?
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I've always wanted to sound more American, which is funny because it's like, I mean, I'm just quoting what she said. And I just basically encouraged her. I'm like, hey, I love your accent. I love who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're Malaysian and you're amazing and you should embrace it. And I'm like, it's funny how it's easy for us to tell other people that, but then for me, it's hard to embrace sometimes who
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Oh yeah.
Like, it hasn't always been easy in my life.
Yeah, and just a full disclaimer, she asked for her permission already to share the
Yes,
story, to
did.
share, what it's about.
Yeah, I did ask her. And she's like, oh my gosh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really special story that I just wanted to share with you guys on the podcast. And like, you guys can always share that with me. And I'm not going to go ahead and full on share it on our podcast publicly because I do ask people if I can share certain things. And she said yes. And so shout out to those who are kind of trying to embrace who they are and how it's been a process, it's a journey. And I feel like as you get older, it's easier to embrace who you are, because when I was younger, I obviously didn't embrace who I was. I literally changed my name to Sophie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think we kind of all go through that phase, I think, in one way or another. I don't think it's always the same thing that people go through, but sometimes we try to change who we are to blend in a way. And we've mentioned this in previous episodes, but it's like we have those challenges.
Yeah, to basically try to blend in or fit in.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's a natural human thing to want to blend in and to not stand out so much. But I love how now, I mean, and she's young, my friend. I mean, young. She's younger than me, probably 22 or something. If I were to guess, maybe
early 20s.
Early 20s. And so when I was 22, I was starting Soul Gold, and all I wanted to do was blend into the Silicon Valley culture of business, right? I would dress a lot older than I was. I would try to blend in, right? And so I feel like there's always a different phase, like you said. And for her, she's embracing her accent. And I feel like if I was 22, 21, I don't know, whatever, younger, in my early 20s, embracing SOPA and embracing my Lao culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been proud to be Lao, but I never embraced it that much.
Yeah, and I think early on too, especially in high school, I would say people in high school age, you're still trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to figure out your identity. That's why you get, sometimes people go through these certain phases. I look back at some people I went to high school with, some friends, and I just look back, I'm like, man, we were so different back then.
Yeah.
And then it's so cool to see them grow into the person they are today. And it's just kind of that transformation process. And I think it continues, we continue that in life. Even now, right? We're in our late 20s, which is crazy to think about.
That is so crazy.
But we're still trying to figure out who we are. We have a good foundation of who we think we are, but that, and continue to refine it to become, our true self in a way.
And that's why on today's podcast, we want to really talk about just embracing who you are. And obviously we are not experts in this. You guys know I'm very open about that, that I haven't always embraced who I am, but now, how old am I? 27, right? Why do I always forget how old I am?
I don't know. Maybe math is not your thing.
That is not math. If you guys can't tell.
I'm just kidding.
But math is, that's not the
93, 21 minus 93. That doesn't make
matter.
any sense.
Yeah.
You're turning 28 this year.
Yeah, I am. So I am turning 28 in a couple of months. Woo. And you're turning 29.
29er. In 2 months. Yes. July. I'm a July baby.
Dang, man. Is that 2 months? Yeah. It depends on this podcast.
Oh, wait.
No, wait. April.
It's 3 months because it's the end of July.
May, June, July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my 30th, man. I just hear when you hit your 30s is when you have life figured out.
Yeah, it's prime.
I'm just kidding.
Prime time, 30.
I'm probably still going to feel the same way I feel right now.
Yeah, so like we said, talking about embracing yourself. And so we thought it'd be fun just to share different ways how we try to embrace who we are in our life, to encourage you guys to just own who you are. And honestly, sometimes we feel like we do not fit into the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. Some people will come to us and be like, "Oh, you guys aren't from the Bay Area. I just thought you were." And I was like, "I am not from the Bay Area."
So some of the friends we've met here and even in college thought we were originally from California, but which we're not. And then what Sopad just said, sometimes we feel like we don't even fit in here, right?
Sorry, I was taking a drink of my coffee.
Oh yeah, let's share our drinks.
Got an espresso intenso blend.
Nice. How is it?
Delicious.
And I don't know what coffee it is, but shout out to Elaine if you're listening or
Also
watching.
a listener of It's a Win-Win.
If you're watching right now, shout out to you. This coffee is amazing. It's the coffee you gave us on Thursday, last Thursday during rehearsals, and it's amazing. I love it. I usually dilute it a little bit because it's a bit strong, but today it's not diluted at all, so it's like straight whichever coffee's in here. I'm not a coffee connoisseur, but I do enjoy a nice cup of coffee.
We love coffee in our house. Black coffee exclusively, unless we're drinking Via coffee, right?
Yep.
So one thing that, like we said, we don't always fit. I feel like we don't fit in the Bay Area, and sometimes why I feel that, for one example, is our fashion. So I wouldn't say we're like fashion bloggers or anything like that.
We're not like fashion, we're not trying to hit the latest trends or be all high fashion. There's different levels to it, but we're not like chasing fashion.
No, we just enjoy it. Like we enjoy nice clothes, and doesn't mean expensive. It's just like nice clothes, different clothes, just not wearing like, I don't know, regular t-shirt and jeans, like ripped jeans, white sneaker. You know what I mean? Like I don't just wear the basic t-shirts, I guess you could say.
Like you're trying not to you're basically saying like you just don't want to be basic.
No. I feel like I can be very basic. Some of my nieces would say I'm basic. It's not that. Basically, like a lot of the Bay Area, let me just explain.
Preface it a little bit with like what you're comparing it to.
Okay, yeah, I got to give you guys some context because again, some of our listeners do not live here. So
True.
You guys know that Silicon Valley is known for tech, right? And like, it makes sense. And there's a lot of people who are engineers here. And like, sometimes the style can just be like a t-shirt with like their company's logo, or like a plain t-shirt that they might've got as a freebie from like their swag bags at work.
That's the fashion here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Real
like,
talk.
Or it's like a long sleeve.
But there's nothing wrong with that, sir.
No.
Yeah.
Not like a long sleeve button down. Is it called button down or button up?
Button down.
Proper. And like a Patagonia vest over it, where it's like, it's so like everybody has a Patagonia vest here. It's like
Silicon Valley culture, man.
Yeah, Patagonia. Sorry, I keep hitting this
Let me move it for you.
This Patagonia, which I love Patagonia. We don't own Patagonia, but we like it. We're more North Face people.
Yeah, we're North Face people. Patagonia, unless you sponsor this video, if you're watching right now,
we love you.
We're
we
North Face
you.
people.
And basically, like, just t-shirts, plain t-shirts. Just think about like freebie t-shirts, right? Apple,
swag,
Google,
like company swag.
I think it's cool. I think people should embrace it, and they do. So that's kind of like Silicon Valley. Some parts of Silicon Valley, not everywhere, but the people we see
probably like San Jose
most often. Yeah,
San Jose, like Sunnyvale, like where all the tech companies are.
Yeah, and like it's just t-shirt. Like if you walk into Trader Joe's, they're gonna have people are just gonna have normally just like a t-shirt on, like regular jeans, no holes, just jeans, and like all birds or like very like. Because all
just simpler.
Simple.
Like
yeah, all birds are amazing.
Simple style.
I want all birds. So I'm not dissing anyone who wears these things. Please don't hear me wrong with that. It's just I'm explaining to you what you can expect. And like
basically what you're comparing it to, like how you dress, and then how like the majority, maybe like a lot of people dress here.
Which I love that they embrace it. It's
but
just
you're talking more about like the people who work here as like engineers. So you're comparing yourself to
not just engineers though, but like if you just walk into Trader Joe's, because there's like, so Bay Area, Silicon Valley really is like a melting pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people from all different countries, and like everyone dresses differently, which is what I love. But I don't find a lot of people who want my age who dress the way I like to dress or want to dress. Like for me, like I can't wait to get my first pair of Jordan 1s that I personally own, right? And like Air Force Ones, I'm like, I don't know any of my friends that wear Air Force Ones, like at all.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know one friend, Tim, that wears Jordan 1s, and I was like freaking out when I saw him get some Jordan 1s like on his Instagram. I was like, dude, these are straight fire.
Wait, which Jordan 1s were they?
I don't even remember.
Were they the gray ones?
No.
Nah?
No.
Oh. Shout out to you, Tim.
Yeah.
Jordan 1s, man.
I don't remember which ones he got, and then Matt like will comment on my like shoes or whatever if I show him that, but like he's not the one to wear them. Like Matt like wears like Ultra Boost, which is another Silicon Valley thing, which I love. Ultra Boost because I wear those.
Yeah, I haven't had those yet.
Yeah, so like for me, basically what I'm getting to is that like where we live, I just feel like I don't know a lot of people that dress like me that are my age and in my circle of friends. Even like in business, like there are no business owners wearing Air Force Ones, but I roll up into my clients' offices with Air Force Ones and I love
Yeah.
it. So that's kind of like how I've been embracing myself, where I'm not
Hmm.
trying to wear certain clothes just because the other business owners wear that. Because I don't think I
Yeah.
look unprofessional. I feel like I look great.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great kind of, space to talk about like the professional setting too. And I
Yeah.
get it. I understand like in certain settings, you definitely, should dress
Yeah.
in a certain way.
Some people require their employees to also wear maybe
Yeah.
button downs and Patagonias. You know what I
Like
mean?
for example, like I think if you're really trying to like disrupt the market or like kind of change the game in a way, like for example, I would say like real estate. Real estate's very, very much button down, like
They are like
at the
beautiful
least, like
people.
bare minimum, but it's typically suit,
Yeah.
tie, like very well fitted. And you're looking like real nice. And that's just the real estate industry.
But I think it also is okay to change your style based on, like, if I'm trying to go after, like, do something for a client that has a $10 million house, most likely I'm not rolling up in Jordans or
You're not
like
gonna
Air
roll up in
Forces.
flip flops and board shorts and a
Like,
tank
I'm going
top.
to wear heels and like wear what is appropriate,
Yeah.
but like I can embrace who I am, like
Yeah.
in my normal day to day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think in certain settings, for sure, like you probably, you know, are encouraged to dress a certain way. But I think like just in a normal day to day, if you want to dress a certain way, you want to be like a certain way or whatever. Like, don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Have some confidence in yourself to do it,
Yeah.
and just be who you really are. Like, dress what you feel most comfortable in, I would say.
And my friends I never feel judged by like the clothing that I choose. And like, I don't judge my friends for wearing the clothes that they wear. Like,
Yeah.
I tell them all the time that they look good because I genuinely mean that, even though I wouldn't wear certain things. Right. And like, I just love when I can see people embracing like what they like to wear and how they feel the most confident. Like for me, if I rolled up in just a plain freebie t-shirt with like plain jeans with no holes and like regular Old Navy flip flops, I would not feel confident whatsoever. But
Yeah,
when you know
yeah.
what I mean, but for some people they do.
And sometimes like don't dress like that way, right? Because everyone else is doing it.
Yes.
I think that's like kind of the point here is like just because everyone else is doing it, and maybe you might not feel 100% comfortable doing it yourself, but you
Yeah.
want to blend in, you want to look like everyone because it's part of the Silicon Valley culture or whatever. But if it makes you uncomfortable, like embrace who you really are and put yourself in clothes that you feel the most comfortable in.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be this deep thing of like, oh, I'm going to go by my legal name or my name that my parents gave me. Like, I'm not saying anyone needs to do that. Like, if you want to go by a nickname and that's how you feel confident, totally go for it.
Oh yeah.
And like for our friend, like she wants to embrace her accent. So like I would say those things are like more like of a deep thing of like how to embrace who you are.
Definitely.
But like fashion is so simple to just like feel whatever you feel good in. I just like encourage you to just wear it. You know what I mean? As long as you're not hurting anybody or offending anybody, I'm like, whatever, just go for it.
I think the other thing too is like I say dress what you're comfortable in, but sometimes you feel like you want to jump out of your comfort zone and try new things because you see it like on Instagram or you see it on a magazine or whatever. And like, man, this looks really dope. Like I want to try it out and see how it looks.
Yeah, just go for it.
Dude, go for it.
And just go to a thrift store and spend like less money if you really like want to get creative and not buy it full price. Like this sweater I'm wearing right now, this is literally a Super Bowl sweater that I got like this buy one get one. And I don't watch the Super Bowl. I have no idea anything of like.
Is that the Rose Bowl or what is that?
I don't even.
Super Bowl. It has some roses on it. Maybe
I
Rose
don't
Bowl or
even
something.
know.
I don't even know.
And I bought it because I thought it was cute. It could be a vintage moment. I have no idea. And I'm just like embracing it. Are my friends going to roast me? They might. I have one friend that I know is going to roast me because he loves football. But I'm like, I feel cute in it. I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are there any things you like to share about how you embrace who you are? Because I feel like Tommy is I admire how he just is himself and he does not care what people think about him in the sense of like, he's not hurting anybody. He's not doing anything wrong. He just embraces who he is and literally does not care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily that I don't care. For sure, like I am who I am. Like I want to be who I am, but that also there's a bunch of thoughts that kind of come through my head when I think about
Let's
that.
talk
Right?
about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I think one thing too is like to not be closed-minded, right? Like, oh, this is who I am. Like, this is who I'm going to be.
True.
You can't change
Because
me.
that could be a
Like
negative thing, right?
that is very, very negative.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't encourage that, right? Like, be who you are, but also be open-minded. Have an open heart to be able to receive other people's input and considerations.
Just how you want to be accepted for being who you are, give that
Exactly.
to other people too.
Reciprocity. So
Yeah.
it's a word I learned this
I taught
week
you that.
how to pronounce.
I taught you how to pronounce it.
I
Shout
know-
out to
I-
my sister Savali because she be saying that word all the time. That's how I know it.
It's a hard word to say, reciprocity. I'm
Reciprocity.
still working on it, guys.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it goes back to like treat others how you want to be treated, I guess. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it's not necessarily not caring what what'd you say? What'd you say it was?
I just said like you just don't care, and maybe I didn't say that the right way.
Not caring, like, right? Like, I just don't care.
I just know that you don't take it so like to heart of like, oh, this person's not gonna like me because I just didn't wear the right shirt today, and like I'm not gonna fit in. Like for you, you truly embrace like who you are, and I feel like most people just want to be more like you.
So I'm gonna give you guys a tidbit for those of you who are, viewing the podcast right now. It's not so much about not caring, like about, doing your thing and not caring, but it's not worrying about like what people think, right? It's not worrying about that. It's not that you don't care what people think. I care what people think.
That's true.
But I'm just not as worried about it, right?
I love
It's their thoughts, out of my control. And I could really go on with, kind of step into that.
Yeah,
but
you're really passionate about that.
But the thing is, it's like to not worry about it because I can't control what, Bob thinks about me, what,
That's so true.
Tommy, whatever, thinks about me. I can't think about that. I can't worry about that. I can't have that take up space in my mind. And it is a hard thing to overcome because I think naturally as just like humans, we care and worry about what people think about us.
You're really good about not worrying to the point of like it debilitates. Like for me, I can worry so much. And it's not about how people think of me, but just things I'm responsible for, or like my work. I can worry so much, and it literally like makes you sick. And so I feel like it's a good practice to just start with like the clothes you're wearing, the way you do your hair, like you know what I mean. Small things.
I don't think it's like a straightforward thing either. It's not just like, oh, I don't worry about what people think about me, but it's like I really do care. I actually care a lot what people think about me. Like I want people to like me. I want to be around people that want me to be around. So I really care in that aspect. But if there is like a certain like opinion or something, I just don't let it worry me.
So that's a good tip. Instead of, it's not that you don't care what people think about you. It's don't worry about what people think of you, because if you worry, because there's a chance people are thinking certain things about you.
Yeah.
They might say, I can't believe she's wearing holes in her jeans. She looks so unprofessional, or like that just looks really messy. There's some people who think that like jeans in your pants look and bad.
We as humans, we all judge.
Naturally,
consciously just
we
judge,
try not
right?
to. We all try not to, right? But like
it's
sometimes
just kind
it
of
happens.
like it's like that preconceived kind of notion. It's an automatic thing, which all of us do, and sometimes we aren't even aware of it.
So the takeaway I have from today's podcast from you is like, don't worry about what other people think of you, because you cannot control it, and you can't. You should try not to worry about what people think about you, because literally you can't change it. Right?
Yeah. Or it's out of your control.
Out of your control.
Yeah.
So fashion is one thing that I thought about. And then another thing too is like, so, I mean, I'd love for you to share some actual examples too with.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you an example. I think there's so many, and this is like kind of like a small one. And I feel like, and this is me, I guess my whole preconceived kind of notion. Like when we're eating out with friends sometimes,
do I know this? I don't think
No. This is, I just thought about this right now. It's like when we're eating, right? We're very conscious about how much we eat. And, for me, if I'm like starving, I'm going to eat as much as I want. I don't care what people think about me. If it's like ribs, I'm going to get my fingers dirty. That's just who I am. You could think I'm nasty. Like, I ain't worried about it because I am hungry. I'm trying to feed myself.
So you're thinking, you're basically saying that some people that are worried about eating.
Not knowing some people, but just this general thought I had. Like, and I feel like sometimes there is like a small tension. It's like, man, I shouldn't, like, I feel like I can't be who I really am and like eat what I really want or eat as much as I want.
That's so true.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because it's more of a general thing.
You're so good about that. Tommy literally, like, so Tommy's a very clean eater, which I love that, because I wish I was a little bit more graceful in the way that I eat. But like you just eat, it's just.
Yeah, and if it's messy, it's messy.
And then he'll order like 5 tacos at the taco truck and just because he wants 5 tacos. And
Yeah.
it can seem like a lot, but he like eats until he's full, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So when you eat out with friends, you're not conscious about like what you order or how much you eat. You just do it. And people
Yeah.
don't think, they're just like, cool, man, eat whatever.
Yeah, and it's more of a self. I don't think people actually care how much you eat or what you eat or if you're
Yeah.
messy or not.
Yeah.
I think it's just more of like a internal conflict that you have with yourself, like an internal tension. And not everyone's going to have that, right? But I know I felt it for me at times, which is why I bring it up.
No, I feel it all the time, actually. It's not how much I eat. It's like I said, I'm not a very graceful eater sometimes. And like, I don't, and I'm a germaphobe too. So like eating like chicken wings, like out at a restaurant, like I'm not trying to like lick fingers, do all that. Like I just,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah. But like, I feel like I order my food and sometimes I'll eat the rest at home, or like even like when we, have people like at church or whatever, and we're like eating, I don't know, Chipotle or sandwiches. Chipotle is easy, but whatever, like a messy sandwich. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna eat it at home because it's kind of messy. And I just like wait until I'm like super starving and come home and eat it, because I know I don't feel super comfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it's more like an internal thing.
That's so good. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like my friends know I'm a clean person. But I never expect my friends to change who they are for me in my family, right? I basically look out for them. I like, do you want some sanitizer? Can I wipe your table down? Like when I'm with my friends, I clean for them. Like I wiped everybody's tables down.
Yeah, that's true. True story.
I literally, like, I don't care who you are. Even if I barely know you, I'm like, do you want to wipe? Would you like me to wipe your table?
Facts.
Yeah. And I feel like that's how I don't change who I am. And I just embrace that I am a germaphobe. And like Mark yesterday, we were walking across the street and he like used his elbow to touch the like, what's it called? The
Door?
walk sign thing.
Walk sign?
To
Oh, yeah.
activate the walk sign is on.
On the crosswalk.
Crosswalk. Yeah. And I was like, I'm so proud of you. I said, but I would have used my foot.
Yeah, I would have kicked that, or I would have kneed it.
And then right when we walked into the store, I was like, there's sanitizer right there. And then my friends started making fun of me. They're like, thanks, Mom. And I was like, that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I just embrace who I am. And so I just hope that you guys feel encouraged that you can embrace who you are and that it's a work in progress and we're not always perfect at it.
Yeah. And I think one thing too is like when you do embrace who you are, like your true self, even if, if we have these weird little like kind of knick-knack type of like things or personalities, it makes you unique. It makes you who you are. And it's what makes you stand out. And it's not always like, don't think of it in a negative way either. Like we are all created in unique ways.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I don't like being friends with people who are all exactly like me. I feel like that life is just so boring, and like I just like people who are different than me, and I like people who, they embrace themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. And some people are still working on it, just like me and you are, right?
Oh yeah.
And so just like acknowledging that and just seeing how different everyone is in our friend circle, that not all of us dress the same and not all of us eat the same food, like the same things.
Oh yeah.
But like we don't love them any less,
Yeah. And I think to share just like another thing about me is when we're in like a social setting and let's say there's like 6 of us, right? Everyone's just like talking it up. And for me, it's typically if you know me, I might seem a little bit more reserved, kind of quiet. And it's just because I don't have anything to say. Like I can't contribute to the conversation sometimes. And I'm not going to try to force myself to talk because that's not what I want to do. Right. So I'm just going to be who I am, be in my thoughts. Right. You guys heard in the previous episodes.
Thinker.
I'm an internal processor. I mean, I'll speak up like when I want to, or when I do have a thought or, something that I really want to share. But most of the time, like when I am in my thoughts, like I may just seem like that quiet, reserved person.
Quiet, reserved person, but can also seem like Tommy is not happy or not interested in the conversation.
And the truth is, sometimes I might not be interested.
And sometimes
like if I'm not interested, I might just do my thing and not talk.
And for example, when we were in college and me and Jackie were living together, Tommy would be over sometimes and he would not, I almost want to say never, but that's probably not true. He would not hang out with us in our living room. He would be in my room by himself for hours. and we'd be watching shows out there.
Yep.
We'd be eating out there. Tommy just did not want to be outside. And I remember me and Jackie just being like, is he okay? Like, why? You know, like it was kind of weird. Like we're
Yeah, no,
all
I remember that time.
out
Because it would
there.
happen like on the weekends, I guess, right?
We would hang out. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
I'd
we
be
lived
chilling.
together. Yeah. And we would be like chilling by like me and Jackie and another person.
We're not gonna name.
Yeah.
You're blacklisted, bro. Forever.
Hey, did I just say it was a bro? So
Bro could be a girl too. I don't know.
okay, so basically it was just like us in the living room, or sometimes we'd have other friends over, and like Tommy would just not come out. And like for me, I felt kind of awkward about it. Obviously, we're still dating, so we're still getting to know each other like more. This is like super like 2015, so it was a while ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't fully know Tommy as much as I know him now, and I was like, I felt weird because I'm like, my boyfriend doesn't want to hang out with me. He doesn't want to hang out with my friends. He's just in the room by himself, very content. Like, doesn't that feel awkward a little bit?
I didn't realize that until like after the fact, because for me, I was occupied with something else, and
Your phone,
I was just kind of chilling,
YouTube, whatever.
and I just wanted to just to be alone and just be by myself. But I also wanted to hang out with you, but then I'm like, okay, she was hanging out with her friends, and I just again, I didn't really worry about what everyone thought about me.
That's how he's embracing
so I'm
who
just
he
like,
is.
I'm just in the room, just hanging out by myself, and I was totally fine
But
with
can
that.
you guys imagine like a full blown friend get together? We're just all hanging out in the living room, and Tommy's just in the room by himself, not wanting to come out. And I'm texting him, "Do you want to come?" And he's like, "No." And it's
Yeah.
literally a walk down the hallway, like not that far.
Yeah, you guys
like,
are in the
it's
living room.
so interesting to me. But now I get him so much better because he just continues every single year as we have been together to just embrace it. And Tommy's not going to put himself in a situation where he has nothing to talk about.
Well,
nothing
it's
to
not
say
even that.
or
It's like I'm not gonna do something that I don't want to do, and there's no one that's gonna be able to make me do what I don't want to do. If I'm doing something and if I'm out or whatever, it's because I genuinely
want to.
do want to be there and do whatever it is.
And I love that because I feel like for me, it's hard to say no to people. And I think it's a people pleaser in me naturally. And I don't think you're very much a people pleaser.
Yeah,
And
0%.
yeah. And for me, I struggle with that. And so it's like, even if I'm tired, I'm like, no, I really want to push myself to hang out with these people because I love them and I want them to feel like I care about their time and stuff like that. But Tommy he just hung out in the room. And so
Yeah, and I think one thing too, and I'm not saying this about you like whatsoever because it might come off very insulting, but like I just don't want to be fake. Like if I show up, I want to be 100% genuine with you, authentic, and so if you see me like not wanting to talk, it's just because I don't want to talk.
I mean, that's just how you're embracing who you are. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just understand Tommy Nguyen in a whole nother light because I did not get it at first, and he just continued to embrace who he was.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be like
You're not being
rude. Like
rude.
there's no intentions of like being rude or like insulting or mean like about it if I don't, do something. It's just that I don't want to. Just in myself, like I'm just saying no. And I think that's another topic, right? Like how to say no. We did I think an episode on that like
But that
early
was like
on.
how to say no to prospects, like in business.
Oh yeah, that's different. But I think it kind of works, personal and professional, which is crazy because I was like, this is episode number
31.
31 people. That's crazy. 31 weeks that we've been doing this. That's crazy. That's like a milestone.
I agree.
Yay. Hit the like button to celebrate that. 31 episodes in the books.
Yeah, we love you guys for watching and listening.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I feel like ultimately, guys, really the message for me here is just embrace who you are, and it's a work in progress. You're not going to figure it all out. It's going to take time, and we're not even 30 years old. Like, I feel like that's why people who are older, like older than us in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they legit do not compromise. Like, they don't, not compromise. They don't sacrifice their like,
Yeah,
what am I trying to say?
That's really true. Well, it's they've gone through like
they're over the people
stages
pleaser.
in their lives, right? And I think when you get to like a certain age, and I think it's different for everybody, but when you look at like an older demographic, you can see that
They just are
they're
don't care.
comfortable with who they are. They embrace it, and it may seem like they don't care, but it's just they've learned.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe don't care isn't the right word. Like
They've learned through like their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. Like I just remember like my grandparents, like my grandpa.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
My grandpa was just like him. He was who he is, and if I were to describe him, my grandpa is someone who had a very, I guess like a very like I don't want to say dominant presence.
He was just straightforward, you said, right? And like his presence was known in the room. Like he just
Yeah,
had a
like when
strong
he
personality.
and it's just who he was, and he's not gonna like change himself to try to like please you. He was just who he is. He did what he did, and sometimes I question some of the things like when he was around. It's yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we have people in our life who are older than us, and I just love to see how they embrace themselves. It's like some people are just straight savage, and that's just who they are, and some people are just. I just love that. Like I can't wait. Every single year, I feel like I get better at embracing who I am, and like 27, embracing the name change. Who knows what it's going to be when I'm like 30, 35,
Yeah,
40.
so that's something that you're trying to embrace right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're kind of in that process of embracing, the real you. In a way, it's like your real name, who you are, like in
My
terms
real
of your
name,
identity.
how I want to dress, because like it's very different than. I mean, we have some people in San Jose. I'm not gonna say all of it because it's not all the same. But like there aren't a lot of people that I personally am friends with or connected to that dress like me or like want to wear sneakers all the time, all day, and like just the stuff that I like. Big oversized shirts, graphic tees, stuff like that, ripped jeans. So I feel like that's kind of the phase that I'm in right now. And I'd love to hear what phase you guys are in and how you're embracing who you are and just how like God created you. You know what I mean? Like that's why I said we don't want to be friends with people who are all the same as us. And I just love how people embrace who they are and we just accept them for who they are. And I think those are the best type of people to have in your life.
Yeah. So actually, I have a question for you. So you stepping into, this whole thing of embracing yourself, of being like your true self. How's that feel for you? Do you feel comfortable stepping into that, or do you feel uncomfortable?
Most of the time I'd say I feel very comfortable
Like
in it.
well, I'm saying like telling people like, hey, my name is actually Sopal.
Oh, that no.
Like stepping into like who you really are, right? Or like even like dressing like certain, like you really like this like cute outfit, but sometimes like let's say like you thought this crop top was really nice, right? Because you've told me that, right? Like, oh, I would love to wear this, but I just can't
Crop tops, I struggle.
because it feels uncomfortable, right?
It's so uncomfortable.
So my point is like it's so ironic that to become a true self, to be who you really are, is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even though that's like, if you think about it, it should be your most comfortable place because it's who you really are. You don't have to put on this act or put on this facade to to try to impress people, whatever it is, whatever reason. But it's uncomfortable to be who you really are. So ironic.
It is ironic. And I feel like that's why I think we have to get out of our comfort zones. We talk about this all the time because you're not going to grow until you are out. I mean, out of your comfort zone. Like for us, we don't like staying in our comfort zone very long, which is why we're constantly trying new things, doing new things. I don't know if it's part of our personality. I don't think it is, but like stagnant is just boring to me. So like even the crop top thing, like I love those looks. I love how my nieces like dress. I think it's literally the cutest thing. You will not catch me in a crop top out
That's
there.
true.
Only when I'm home with just Tommy because I think it's so cute. But I'm like, I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with that because that's why I love this baggy clothes life because it conceals me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was just kind of like a minor example.
Yeah, maybe one day I can get into like that because it is deep, man. It is like intense.
I don't know if it's for you.
What, the crop tops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll cute in them all, but I just don't know if it's we're at the right stage of life.
No.
Or I don't think we'll get to that stage.
Maybe not. But I mean, I live through the girls that can wear the crop tops and they're super cute and they're wearing like their sports bras with like their leggings and all that. It's so cute, but I only wear that at home.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you guys go back to the Growing Up Asian American podcast and I talk about like the stuff that's happened to me through certain people and what's happened, that it kind of, yeah, we could talk about it offline if you guys ever want to talk about it because I think it's important to be not open, but to share and be vulnerable with people because that's how they feel the most connected to you. And so I'm not ashamed to tell that story because I've already lived it and have lived it through it and have like overcome it, forgave the stuff that's happened. So I could just talk about that now. But anyway, getting on tangent.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up in this episode. I think we really touched on like embracing yourself and, sharing like kind of what we're embracing. And I think actually on my end, because you're processing right now your name and then just dressing how you really want to dress, which you do. I think you do.
I do.
For me, and I haven't shared this yet, but I think for me, like one thing that I want to embrace a little bit more was like really speaking my mind and like really saying what I want to say. And I think that's why I resonate a lot with people who are direct with me. I actually really appreciate it and admire it in a
We
sense.
love people who are direct.
Like, just tell me how it is. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't beat around the bush. Just tell me what's up and just tell me how it is. And I actually, for me personally, I appreciate that because that's what I want to be as well. I want to be just direct with people. And I think most of the time I am, but I want to do it in a way that's like loving, like firm but loving.
Yeah.
At the same
It's
time,
hard. That's a hard balance.
because I remember when I first started working out here, when we first moved, and I had my team I worked with, and I was very much like that direct person. Like I just just kind of said what I thought needed to be said or how I felt. And sometimes it came off a little too firm where people became intimidated by me. And I'm like, no, like I don't want that. Like
Tommy was very, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just
are
have
you
to say
good?
this,
Yeah.
that you were intimidating, even
Yeah.
towards me. Like him, his like, the persona he had was very much like, do something about it then. Does it bother you? Get
Yeah.
over it.
And
Are you mad about it?
So
Relax.
Pal would literally call me like, you're such a robot.
I mean, I stopped saying that because it's really mean, but
Yeah,
like
because
I genuinely felt that for a very long time. Like after he graduated from college, because Tommy's like this fun kid in college and like went to this corporate, environment, and he was just so like, do something about it. Like I'd be like, oh, this client was really mean. He's like, and what? What are you gonna do about it? And
Yeah,
I'm like, dang,
that's something I'm working
harsh.
on too, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about that in the podcast, but it's
Yeah.
like developing my EQ, my emotional intelligence, to be able to read the room better. But
No, you've been so much better at it
Yeah.
though. Like you can, so you're basically saying that you used to be very direct, which is just part of who you are. And I love that about you because a lot of people aren't very direct nowadays.
yeah.
But you're trying to be direct, but loving at the same time.
So I think like so what kind of happened? I kind of hit like both ends, right? Like one side where it's like very direct, kind of firm, and I'll just tell you how it is, but in a way that's not loving, right? And then in that process of trying to grow and develop more of my emotional intelligence and like being able to read a person emotionally and or read the room and see how they're actually feeling, showing empathy, having compassion, and I kind of dialed into like this end to where I think when you're too strong on that end of it, you can start to beat around the bush or start to sugarcoat things and not really say how you feel, and it becomes hard to be truthful in a sense.
Well, I know somebody in our friend circle that encourages me to do that all the time. And so we're going to do that to you now because I think that
What are we doing?
well, because he's always telling me like, Sophie, it's okay. Just be who you are. Like dig into that because I also, people like to look at me like, oh, nice Sophie. She's just so nice and friendly. I'm like, but I also can like hold my own.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
I think I think naturally started more on that side, right?
The
more
nice
more
side.
of the like the empathy, compassion, like very
It's
strong on that side,
exhausting.
which is great. I think it's really good, especially if you're working in teams, working
Yeah.
with people. I think that's especially important.
I know, but sometimes I get annoyed how much compassion and empathy I do have. And it's just the way I'm wired. So I just like embrace it now.
Yeah, and I'm like at the
But
opposite
you're the
end.
opposite end. So
Yeah.
we're like trying to
So we're
meet
trying
in
to
the middle.
Yeah, we're trying to meet in the middle.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's how we can hold each other accountable because what I've realized too is living here, obviously we only have two places in, Midwest and here that,
Yeah.
let's just say Indiana and here in San Jose that we can compare to. Indiana is way more direct. Like if I were to pitch my services, they'd be like, you're too expensive, can't afford it. Or like, hey, your prices are really high. What can we do to make it work for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus here in San Jose, people will be like, this is so great. We'd love to work with you. And then I follow up and you never hear back because they just don't want to say no. So like part of
Yeah.
it too is like, we're trying to learn the balance of like the
Yeah.
culture and where we live.
And I think it feels worse instead of being like rejected. I think it's worse to be left hanging.
I agree. Just tell
Just
me
reject
no.
me.
Just say no.
Tell me no.
Yeah. Anything. If you don't like it, just tell me you don't like it.
And also on the other end, I do understand that it is very hard to say no. It's difficult to say no for a lot of us.
That's me. Although I feel like it's easy for me to say no now. But yeah, it like just trying to understand. And like we said, giving people that grace and understanding that we want to also receive.
Yeah. And actually, so we've been reading this book, and it was on Sopal's Instagram, her IG story called Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. Phenomenal book. I think, what was it? It's like How to Succeed.
But it's like the science of people.
The Science of Succeeding with People. And amazing book. We just finished it. And one thing she talked about was how to say no. And I guess we're talking about this now.
Yeah, just keep going.
So here's a couple tips that she gave that I thought was absolutely amazing on how to say no. First, you got to say no, right? But the next thing that she said is don't give a reason. You don't need to give a reason why you want to say no. If someone asks you to go out to eat, you're like, hey, sorry, I can't make it, or like
just say no, thank you.
Or just say no, thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
But I'm gonna go home after this.
No, thank you. And so that was like one kind of practical tip she gave, which I thought was great. You don't have to give a reason. Don't make up an excuse. And then she said to step it up one notch, just like, hey, no, thank you. I don't want to grab lunch, but how about we have coffee tomorrow? Is that okay? So to step it up, so you're saying no, but then you're also providing another opportunity. Maybe that's where you want to actually kind of, you want to do that instead without having just to completely turn them down.
Yeah, that's a really great book. You guys should read it.
Yeah, really good book.
Yep. So I think we should wrap it up now.
Yeah, we should definitely wrap it up now. We're at about 45 minutes. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And if there's anything that you want to remember, from this episode, I think just one thing. And I think it's from one of my white boy rappers, half white, Drake, Jersey Drake. In one of his songs, he's like, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. And we got to live this life where we are our true self, right? And I kind of want to put it in like that sound, like that
It's
one.
Like, not everybody dies, but everybody lives. Everybody dies. But everybody lives.
But yeah, I mean, that sticks with me because I don't want to die knowing like I was living my life to try to impress other people.
Oh, yes. So
right?
good.
So it's like live your life, on who you want to be or who you want to become. And I know it's going to be a process. We're going to have to grow into who we are, right? It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It can take years. And so until we can get to that point where we feel like, man, I feel like I'm 100% me.
Yeah. And please, guys, just let us know your stories. If you're comfortable sharing, you can message us on Instagram. Some people have been texting us. You can comment below if you want to. We love those comments because it does help our channel grow.
Yes.
And if you guys have not subscribed, it would mean the world if you guys subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe if you're watching on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great Wednesday if you're watching this on the day that it was released, because every Wednesday we upload a new episode. So we are going to go and finish our coffee, and we can't wait to hear from you guys.
Yep.
All right.
And your name is?
Nguyen.
Yeah, and my name is Tommy Nguyen, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.